Mimi nasema watoto walefu kama hivi wasisome. Naelewa?
The chief says children higher than this must not learn to read.
Tell him that all the children must go to school.
No, Sabu.
I think that every large farm ought to have a school. There is no point in saying that natives are more happy in their primitive state. Besides that being very questionable, it is impossible to keep them there. And by making no attempt to educate them, all that results is that they get hold of all the worst aspects of civilization.
As a Dane, she had a different attitude to the Africans than the English did.
F.
She wasn't a sort of modern liberal involved with the rights of the Africans, but she was tolerant and curious and open to them in a way that the English were not. She admired the way that their societies worked. They were very functional. They had courts. They had a sense of justice. The English took a much more colonial view of the Africans, and they resented her for what they said was spoiling the natives.
What's this nonsense I hear about a school?
Wogs can't even count their goats. It's none of your bloody business anyway.
Who the devil are you?
There's always some sort of a conflict of ways of looking at life. Sometimes it's cultural, sometimes it's political, sometimes it's just emotional, and that's usually at the center of the love story.
And what stake do you have in keeping them ignorant?
They're not ignorant. I just don't think they should be turned into little Englishmen.
Sidney said, I need to see the film in a line. And Meryl was the one who came up with it. And she said, Out of Africa is the story of a woman whose lover was more beautiful than she was.
In the days and hours that Dennis was at home, we spoke of nothing ordinary. Not of my troubles with the farm, my notes due and my failing crop, or of his with his work and what he knew was happening to Africa.
She spent months preparing for Dennis's short visits. No detail was too small. No feast or comfort was too extravagant. Memories of their time together would need to reinforce her during the months of isolation. She concealed from Dennis the totality of her attachment to him, and he concealed from her his awareness of the deep depression she sank into after his departure. When he was to leave, he would miraculously run into a mutual friend and invite her to stay with Karen. This was his gallant response.
She would go to bed for 3 weeks in a depression. I imagined it as when her idea of herself collapsed, when her invention collapsed, her powers of invention. And you just can't believe in the illusion that you've been manufacturing.
There was an element of masochism in her love for him. Keeping herself worthy was sort of a full-time task when he was there. There's an adrenaline rush involved in that kind of attachment.